Just millions and millions of views, and people are already starting to, ask him to come out for college visits and to go train with, different trainers that are training other athletes in the league, and, for major D1 colleges. And our son AJ is, again, extremely talented, football player. AJ, funny story about him, when we first started out in our business, he was talking to one of our direct SMDs, and he was like, "Hey, AJ, what do you want to be, when you grow up?" Like, he was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" He was like, "I'm going to own half of the United States." I was like, our SMD was like, "Oh my God, whose kids are these?" And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He was like, "I'm gonna have my own architecture firm," because he's an incredible artist. He could literally draw you, Nikki. Literally, he used to come to our office and sell his art to all of our agents.
That's incredible.
And, he would give them a discount if it was black and white, and it was a little bit more if it was color. But our kids, they're all just entrepreneurs, leaders. I mean, very, very, very influential already, and they're just kids, right? Think about that, 17, 16, and 12. And they have been on this journey with us since they were little bitty. When we started in the business, Austin was barely a year old, right? And I remember literally like bringing him to the office in his stroller with his little snacks, right? His little toys to play, because we didn't have anybody to watch our kids. We had family members that didn't want to help out with that, right? So for most people, we'd make an excuse and say, "Well, I can't come to the office because I don't have a sitter." We brought our kids with us. So Alex would be in one office running appointments. I would be downstairs in our courtyard watching the kids, keeping them entertained, making phone calls, calling the providers, booking appointments, right? Meeting with our agents, seeing where they were at in their processes. And then we would switch. Alex would go downstairs, I would go upstairs, do, day one orientations with people. And that's just how we ran our business in the first couple of years of our business. And our kids were right there with us. I remember being in the office and on BPM nights, and our kids are asleep under our desk with a pillow, and I had a little space heater in our office. And people didn't know, they didn't really understand the sacrifices that we were making to build our businesses. Now everybody's on Zoom, so you don't have that problem. You just sit at home. Well, we didn't have that option back then. We were in offices, and so our kids were coming in the office, and they're doing homework there, they're eating dinner there, right? My daughter would always go and help all the other agents with their phone calls, because she was so used to hearing me make phone calls. She would like correct them and help them drill for skill. But they've grown up in this business, and I'm proud to say they've already told us, "Hey, one of the things that we want to do as soon as we turn 18, even though we're going to be in college, we want to be in WFG." Right? My daughter is really, really focused, and she says, "Hey, I want to be like one of the youngest to get to $250,000 my first year." And I was like, "Well, you can do it. You got the formula. You have the game plan." But without these kids, you guys, let me tell you something. I don't know where we would be. They have been our biggest encouragement. They're definitely our why. They motivate us, they inspire us, they challenge us, they challenge our thinking. But their endless support of their parents is something that we can't thank them enough for from the depths of our hearts. We really do appreciate that, because when they were younger, they didn't get put in sports right away, because mom and dad were building a business so that we could, generate income to be able to afford club sports. Anybody have their kids in club sports or any sports at all? I mean, it's time consuming. You're gone all weekend. You're traveling. It's not cheap. All right. Just for a 2-day football tournament. You have to get a hotel. Then you got to drive there, gas, snacks, dinners, right? The admissions fee to get into the tournaments. So it's a lot. And when we first started, we couldn't afford that. But my husband told me, he said, "I'm building this now because I want to be present in our kids' lives when they are going through that particular part of their lives, the sport." He's like, "I want to coach them. I don't want to miss any of their games." And guess what? Here we are today, being able to fully experience that because of the opportunity that World Financial Group gave us and our family. Man, have our lives changed. I mean, we're everywhere. We're champions, right? I think my son has now surpassed us in terms of all the rings that he has from just winning different championships, from different tournaments and things of that nature. He literally has his little case, and he always brings it out. And he's like, "Oh, Mom, I've got more rings than you and Dad now." I'm like, "Well, we got to step it up. We got to get going." So, but this is our kids' school. And this is what I call the village, right? People always ask, "How are you guys able to really balance, your whole entire lives with 3 kids?" Well, I want you to meet some very special people in our lives. This is Pastor Adrian and his wife, Ladidra Ewings. They are SMD $100,000 ring earners here in WFG. Funny enough, I've known Pastor Adrian since I was a youth because they founded a group called Steps of Praise. They used to tour with Kirk Franklin, and I would always go and watch them. They were really, really amazing. And that ministry helps so many young people stay out of trouble, right? Really get on a great path and not get caught up in the streets. And a lot of us owe, really our lives to this couple and just their vision. And they literally are like grandparents to our kids. They're like best friends and parents and sister and brothers, like this all in one package deal wrapped up into these two amazing individuals. They literally come to our house like almost every day. But we travel the world together, and they've been there. They've been there. When we're out of town sometimes, they don't even know, right, that our kids have things going on. They somehow figure it out and get connected with the kids, and they'll show up to their games and things of that nature, and we're out of town. So there's always somebody there to support and represent the Haynes family. This is my aunt, Valerie. Her and her husband, Chad Greer, are also SMDs in the company as well, but they've been there since they were there before Alex and I even started dating. I've known them pretty much my whole life, but these individuals have really gone above and beyond to be there and to show up for us. And this is our village, and this is how we're able to do it. And let me tell you something, you have not because you ask not. A lot of us have needs. A lot of us have desires and things that we want to be able to do. And a lot of us are standing in the need of some help. But if you do not express that and share that with people, obviously in a safe place with people that you trust, no one's going to know that you need that help. So you're going to have to humble yourself, be transparent, and just put it out there. Sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. And when we started doing that and really letting our guard down, you'd be surprised at the amount of people that just want to step up and help. And this was definitely a couple of those people, in addition to our incredible team, Vision and Victory. Love them, love them, love them. A lot of them are here on this call, but everybody just steps in and helps out, where they can. And guess what? We do the same thing. I can't tell you the amount of, teammates, kids that I've had to watch because they've got appointments and right things of that nature. We all just help each other because we're a team, we're a family, and it's all about helping each other get to the next level. This is our kid. They go to private school. It was a dream of ours. It's one of the top private Christian schools really in the country. And there's some amazing individuals that are affiliated with this school, some big time names, and we've come to call these people our friends now. The curriculum is amazing. Our kids are advanced, they're grade level ahead. And classroom sizes are small. That means the teachers can give more focused attention to the students. You guys see what I'm saying? It's just amazing what happens when you step out on faith and you go and build a business for you and your family. Opportunities start to flow your way. You start to find yourself in rooms and in environments that you probably would not have ever had the opportunity to be in. And now here we are. And it's very humbling for us, right? Again, WFG afforded us these opportunities for us and our kids. It's an amazing place. And this is where it started. So don't be saying, oh, they just got lucky. They ain't no luck nowhere. This is where we started, this little duplex. Can you believe we built our income to $300,000 personal net income out of this duplex?
It actually looks a lot better during that picture because we had put paint and new windows, and all that kind of stuff.
It was living on a prayer, y'all. So it was a struggle bus.
So I have something on that real quick with the village that we're talking about. I want you guys to understand as we get into, we have some slides on what to do and what not to do in order to get to where you want to be success wise here in WFG. And well, a lot of the village that we have, some of them are now our newest SMDs, like Chris and Lisa Johnson. I see them in the chat. They were just part of our family, and they weren't in WFG when we first started. And so those individuals in your life, they're watching you. They helped us out. Chris Johnson helped me out in leadership so many times. I remember going to our first Wealth Bowl, and we had basically no money at all, like none. And we were told we had to go to this big event, and we just were down and out. And there was people in our lives that kind of knew the situation we were in. But we ended up somehow getting to that event because we made a decision. But there were people in our lives around that time that were helping us. And then now you look full circle, just 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, and we have individuals get started in our business with us, and now they're SMD 6-figure earners. They're going to be able to, retire someday when they didn't think they had a shot at it, but they were there in our lives helping and watching the growth that we were taking during that whole journey. I want to give a shout out to someone named Vicky Carrington, who at that school is now the basketball coach, and she had a big, part obviously in helping my daughter's team, and she's there. She's one of the best coaches in all of the country. And her husband helped me out during those times as well, because they were all at my high school that I went to. And so I've known these individuals for so long, and then to be able to pay it forward now, they're MDs, about to be SMDs, almost 6-figure earners in the base shop. And, her husband is a full-time pastor at the church that we go to as well. And so there's just so many things. I look back now, they always say, 2020 hindsight. I look back and I see all the things that God was doing in our lives to bring that all together. But it took the faith, it took the discipline, and it took the continuing to move forward in the times where it didn't seem like there was really much hope. But we just believed that the people that did it before us, that if they could do it, that if we stuck here, we stayed, we did the right things consistently enough, that we would have our break. And that's how we started being able to make the income that we were making. Even in this picture, we started there with negative in our bank account at certain times that first year of business, just being super transparent. On the way to that wealth bowl, I had taken out all the cash that I could out of our account, so I wouldn't get an extra overdraft fee. So I'm not trying to say this to be like, just understand that there might be someone on this call where you felt what that was like. And I don't want us, we're not there anymore, but I empathize and I understand how to help someone else who is in those situations not to lose the faith. And you have to be that leader now. If you're in the situation you're in, where you're now building your business to help those individuals on your team know that there is light at the end of the tunnel if we get to work, right? And so that's where we started. We started at in this spot.
Yeah, and people have to understand too that the building is not the environment. You are the environment. Your energy, your positivity, your values, your integrity. That's the environment. That's what people are attracted to. There are people that went on to become millionaires that literally were developed through personal mentorship out of this place. And well, how did you do it? We were always talking about where we're going, right? How many of you guys know where you're going in your future?
So Stephanie, let me ask you, Steph, because you talked about environment. Let me ask you this: in the new Zoom, hybrid kind of environment, what are some really important things that you and Alex are doing to create and keep that environment going in this new hybrid environment?
Well, I would say number one, it is hybrid. So you train on Zoom, but we also are incorporating in person. And so we used to always say, well, hey, you can train on Zoom, you can sell, you can recruit on Zoom, but you build and develop leaders in person. And so we have a core group of people within our base shop that we have identified as some of our next wave of SMDs. And we've created what's called an elite leadership group. You see our logo there. And we work personally with all of these leaders. And every day they have an accountability call. We put on events in person just for them. We bring in guest speakers, our product providers come, and we're just empowering, training, and developing these leaders. And a lot of that is done in person, right? Some of them come down and they stay at our home, for the weekend. They come by, for a couple of hours and just sit at the table and we'll talk. We may even play cards or something, but it is being able to create a space that's safe, number one, where people can be transparent and they can be honest. And they can trust that you as the leader, you're going to pour into them and guide them on their path to success. And that's what we're doing. Those are, just a few things that we are focused on. It's daily communication with people, really. Because it's easy to get lost.
I would also say that the big events, they're even more important than they've ever been. We always say you build your business from big event to big event. And so like being at convention, that's the one time where you can make sure we get every single person in your team together. And obviously, whatever system, however many times you guys get together in person, I would talk to your your leaders as well. But what we do is try to get together as much as possible. So even if it's like once a quarter having an event where everyone gets together, where you have the recognition, you do all that with your team, that builds into maybe convention, right? At convention, everyone gets together. We come to the BELC, breakout. You have your own breakout meeting with your team. You do more recognition. Everybody gets together. And then obviously contest and a trip, usually at least once a year as well. And you're usually going to want to match that up, quarter per quarter. So there's always at least once a quarter an in-person event, right? Because not everyone can fly across the whole country every single month all the time. We have training associates and a lot of new people maybe on the call. You might not be able to do that all the time, but if you guys have a schedule and you're putting it out in advance of where, the important dates are where people need to be, now people can start planning for that, and you build your business from big event to big event. And one thing that Stephanie said was key is you have to make sure as a teammate that you're coming with somebody to those big events if you can, right? And then that's the promotion that we're talking about, is you have to make sure that every single time you show up somewhere, that we always talk about field training, but what about you going into an event with someone on your team? You guys got to understand that's field training as well. That means that someone is seeing how to do it, right? Live, in flesh, in the person with you. So you're being an example to your team when you come to an event with people. They say, well, hey, next event, I guess I should probably bring some of my team because my leader did that with me. And so that's how it starts to grow, right? And so I would say those in-person events are very key, especially now with the Zoom era.
100%. All right, y'all. To everybody that thinks we got lucky, look at this snazzy couple. Started from the bottom, now we here. Right, we started back in 2013. You guys want to know something? We both quit our jobs on the same day, the exact same time. And it was probably one of the most scariest things that we ever did, but the most exhilarating thing that we ever did. I remember being on the phone and Alex was like, we had, drawn up our resignation letters. And I was like, all right, now we got to send them. We're going to, on the count of 3, we're going to hit send. And so I'm like, okay, you ready? He was like, oh, are you sure? Maybe you should go first. And then maybe I'll go. I was like, Alex, we're doing this together. We said, I do. We're in this. We're making it happen. We're both doing it. So come on. And so he was like, all right, let's go. So 1, 2, 3, send. I was like, ooh, I sent mine. He was like, I didn't press send. It's like, Alex, press send. Get in there and press send.
Oh my God.
It was hilarious. And he was like, aren't you? He was like, oh. He's like, okay, I'm gonna send it. But I remember when we made that decision to quit our jobs and to go and focus our energy and our effort into running our business, it was the best decision of our lives. It was like a new beginning. It was tearing the page out of that story and starting with just a blank canvas, right? And it's like at different points of your life, you have those moments where it's like, this was the year that changed my life because of this. Well, this is the year that showed us the power of stepping out on faith and really trusting God and leaning and depending on Him and not leaning on our own understanding, right? That was the year for us because it was scary. Imagine that, 3 little kids, you left for 6 figures in income to go build a business, and you're literally trusting the foundation, the credibility, the leadership in our company, hanging your hat on that. That is one of the best things about our business is our foundation, the strength of it. It's not going nowhere. Like imagine that we were able to leave 6-figure income jobs to come here, and now we're 7-figure earners because of the strength and foundation in World Financial Group. Nobody else has that, not to that degree, I would say. And so we made that decision. Things were a little challenging at first, trying to figure out, learning how to work together, just really learning this business, right? Learning how to lead other people. And I remember having to go to a wealth bowl, and our leadership palette, he was like, yeah, well, you guys got to get there. And I remember telling like, well, you know, we're not going to make it to this one. We'll catch the next one. Anybody ever been guilty of saying that to your leadership or having somebody on your team tell you that? It's like, are you going to the Wealth Bowl? Are you going to the convention? Well, I'm not going to go this time. There'll be another one. We'll make it next time. You might not be around next time. Now, it doesn't mean you won't be on the earth, but you might not be in this business, right? Because your business really does big event. Your business grows from big event to big event. So if you're not attending the big events, what's happening to your business, right? It's dying because you're not connected. You have to be connected to that energy source. You have to be connected to the leadership. You have to be connected to your teammates. You have to be connected and stay up to date with the ever, you know, all the changes that are going on in our industry, right? With regulations, right? With updates to products and things of that nature. You got to stay connected. So when you're not connected, you're losing what? Energy. And when you lose energy, what happens to the battery? At some point, that battery dies. That's the importance of showing up to everything. That's why I commend you guys being here on a Sunday, being on this call. Some people didn't show up, but guess what? It's all good. You did, right? Because you're staying connected to that source. And so Chip made that very clear to us. And he said, hey, what does it feel like to be almost 30 years old? And I have to say that you can't afford to do something. You don't have $100 to your name. You're struggling. You're struggling to take care of your kids. You're struggling to pay your bills. He was like, let's really work for 5 years and you can buy the rest of your life back. And at the time I was like, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds amazing. And we were just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So we figured it out. We went to work on it. And I remember us driving up. We had to go to Monterey, right? It was good old Monterey. And we took our car with us and our 2 teammates, right? We were going to take over WFG with us and our 2 teammates. And that was about an 8-hour drive from San Diego, right? And we didn't have any gas money. We were waiting on a cycle to hit, right? And that was one of those where there was like some issues or something and it didn't hit. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we literally can't even put gas in the car to get up there. So I remember us putting gas and it stopped at like $15. And I'm like, how are we supposed to get all the way to Monterey on $15 worth of gas? But Alex and I, we just got in the car and we just went and we were just going. We weren't talking to each other. Our teammates are in the back asleep, have no clue what's going on. And we're like stressed out, but we're not talking to each other. We're just driving through the grapevine, which is like nothing but mountains in like sheer darkness. And I'm just like, I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, you got to come through. You got to come through. Right. You said that we were, you blessed our business. You said that we were going to do well in this. You've given so much confirmation. So we trust you. We finally, the gas light comes on. We got to pull over for gas. Alex is like a master closer. So he tells our teammates like, hey, I want you guys to take the first round of, gas. And then we'll get the next round since we drove our car. And then, no, Nikki, this Tweedle, he gets out of the car, goes into the gas station and leaves me in there with them while they're trying to figure out their money because they ain't got no money either. Because all these broke people, right, on this quest for success, and we can't even figure out the gas station to get to the event, right? So finally, they figure it out, right? And we end up getting the gas, full tank of gas, and we're on our way. We're going to go conquer the world. Well, now we got to check into the hotel. Well, it's the same issue. The money still didn't hit the account yet. It ain't gone in. And I'm sitting there in the back, Alex is up at the counter, and he's just acting as if, and you know how they do, right? You're checking in. He's like, oh, ID and, whatever form of, credit card payment you want to put your, the incidentals on. So he gives him the card. And in my mind, I'm like, that ain't gonna go through. So she's like, swipes the card. I remember she swipes the card. Must be our system. It was down earlier. Let me just try that again. I'm in the back cracking up. So I'm like, girl, that ain't gonna go through. Ain't nothing on it. She swipes it again. She's like, do you want to try a different form of payment? This one is just not working. Hopefully us swiping too many times didn't cause your bank to block it. And Alex, I know Alex, he's like, yeah, maybe. I'm waiting for that text message to come through. Maybe because we ran it too many times. Well, in the meantime, all this chaos, a friend of ours who was our branch office manager back then walks by. He's like, hey guys, what's going on? And he's like, I can't get my card to work. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Just put it on mine. Just pay me back when you can.
Wow.
I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Right? Because again, it's a debit card. So you got to put a deposit and all these other things on it. But I'm just watching, like, first it's the gas, now it's the hotel. I remember going to our room, sitting down on the bed, just completely defeated. And Alex was like, what's wrong, babe? Like, we got here, we're in the room, it's gonna be a great event. And he's just always optimistic, he's just thinking ahead. He's just very forward thinking. And I'm like, well,
I was
Alex,
probably,
legacy envisioned for us leaving for our kids. I'm like, so whatever we got to figure out at this event, we need to figure it out. And literally, we went in with literally a clear desire for an outcome, and then we left there with an action plan. And it was a list of, there was 3 key things that we needed to do, right, in order to overcome the stress and the stagnancy in our business at that point. And it was mastering double-digit recruiting, meaning never having less than 10 people on the team, right? Getting very system driven so that people are clear as to what is expected and what they need to do so that they can go out and be successful, right? And also, too, accountability and mentorship with leadership. That's where we really started to foster a really great working relationship, right, with our upline leaders, sideline leaders, and things of that nature. We have a lot of great friends that are in the company that have been very influential in helping us in our career. Us implementing just those things, you guys, that next month, being negative in the bank account, that next month we made our first $10,000 month, which didn't really feel like a super big month. It was a big deal to us because we had never done that. But when you're like negative and you're behind on your bills, you got to, play catch up. But it showed us what was possible. And then we went on to hit a 15 grand month, then 20, then 25. Well, by the end of that year, we have become SMDs. As marketing directors, we crossed over 50,000 in cash flow. We then went and got our SMD promotion. We then went, by the end of that year, we were at 160,000 in cash flow. And then fast forward that following year, we hit $250,000 going into our next convention. And we were just rocking and rolling, just implementing these simple financial principles, simple system things, and just focusing on money-making activities that we could duplicate with our teammates. Because sometimes some of us try to be too difficult, too complicated. And our teammates can't grasp. And we wonder why they don't do nothing, because they don't understand. So now you have to reduce it to the ridiculous and break it down to their level so they can understand and comprehend and then get them into action, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you learn WFG? One step at a time. Stop trying to overwhelm yourself. You're going to be learning, right, your entire career. Because again, things are always changing, but those are just some things that we did that really made a big difference and had it, was a game changer. And boom, we've now gone on to be homeowners, right, after coming from our little broke down shack, right? This is our home. It's a beautiful place that we live at. We get to see people come through our trails with their horses, and it's very quiet, very serene, beautiful neighborhood, brand new neighborhood. And again, this was just another God thing. Our house never went on the market. It got listed, and I don't know how no one ever saw it, but we were the only ones that came to see it and put an offer and got it. And it wasn't a nightmare real estate story like you hear some people, talk about. It was just very smooth. We were literally living in our condo and our house at the same time. So it allowed us to be able to get rid of a bunch of stuff and just take our time moving in. We hired an interior designer that came in and literally designed our entire house, just meeting our needs and meeting our desires and what we wanted. And it was just a totally different experience. And again, how did that happen? Building a business in WFG afforded us this opportunity. And the cool thing about WFG is you don't just get comfortable. Like my husband's always sending me homes, even now. We have a brand new house and he's like, oh, look at this one. It's like $5 billion. This one's 10 million. There's a $15 million home. And it's just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because why? We're always growing. There's always more. How many of you guys would like the more to fall in your life? Right? You ready for that more? Just like reach up and grab it. Just grab it. It's like, I am ready for more. You can go get that. You can have that. We believe, we're very strong in our faith, and we know the promises of God are yes and amen, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Just make your request known. But here's the deal. Don't just make your request known. You don't want to do no work. Some people say that. I'll make my request known. All right, well, this is what's gonna take. Here's the work. It's like, never mind, I'm good. Stay where I'm at. Like, no. Do the work, because the work is what makes you better. The work is what actually strengthens you. Look at that. It's a beautiful view, huh? I know. Beautiful place. I know.
Why do I want to say on that too? Like, we gotta understand, like, the desires. God put vision in a God vision that you have, and so you're the only one that's going to be able to really understand that with God's revelation on it. And you guys got to understand that. Just like when we say, if I help enough people get where they want to go, I'll always get where I want to go. And you can say those words, but there could be two different heart intents behind it. And I just want you guys to understand that we're here to help people. We're here to add value to other people's lives. And so when your mindset becomes helping others, not for my selfish motive of getting me somewhere materialistically, but because I really want to help others get where they want to go, then that's where the fulfillment comes. Then you can have that same saying with two different heart intents. One will be blessed and one is just about you. And so I think when I'm always talking about more, my wife knows, like, I'm always thinking bigger, like, there's more out there, but there's more teammates to entertain at the house and bring over and lead and mentor and do things. So I always understand that I don't need any more, but I'm definitely open to more, and I want more if God's willing to give that. And that's part of what his plan is for us. And so I just know this business is a blessing as well. Like, I always say, like, every day when we're praying about who we're going to meet today, and I'm praying that God has us meet the people that he wants us to meet. Right. And that's how you're going to build your business, is people in your team need to know, right, that you really truly care about them and that you're here for them. And when you do that, everything else flows, and it's so much easier, so much easier. You do have to put in the work, right?
Yep.
You do have to get after it, but it's going to be so much easier when you do things that way. And I've just been around enough life to know that you can do things multiple ways and they're not always blessed the same, right? And so now you look at where we're at, and I just pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, man, this is everything I've ever wanted, I get to sit on the 50-yard line to see the Chargers every home game. By the way, it's on Sundays, so I don't miss much appointments, right? To do that. But just think about what you want to do. I don't know what it is that you really, wanted when you were younger. You wanted your life to be like, but it can really happen for you. It's one of the coolest experiences that we have every year, and it's absolutely awesome. And we just love, like she said right here, creating memories. And our family is not just our family, but it's also all of our teammates. They become family as well. And so it's just so awesome to see. And some of these, like this picture over here on the left, that was part of, Stephanie's family, and they're all in business now too with us. So how cool is that? And then we get to also meet everybody at WFG annual, trip every year. We already got our tickets for that. We always go out, for the trip, and then we stay a few days as well. And with the kids, and kind of do our own, thing also. And it's one of our favorite places to go is Hawaii. So you guys they always say, like, the water's warm. Someone's got to jump in. Like, hey, you gotta be there with us. How many of you guys want to go to Hawaii next year if you're not already, on this trip, right? I know I'll see Nikki and everybody there, right? All the leaders. That's where we get to have our time. It's awesome.
Yep. Now we want to give y'all some practical stuff. Okay, that was all the, the stories, and I know that's everybody's favorite part. I love hearing people's stories, but we want to make sure we add some value to you guys as well, because how many of you guys see yourself being $1 million earners plus? Okay, yes, okay. Hey, Miss Glenda, good to see you. Okay, there we go. I love seeing all these familiar faces. But yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the deal, you can do it. And I want to just give you guys some things to focus on that we focused on when we were running for our $1 million ring. All right. And then we're going to give you some top five things not to do. Okay. Because there's like the things you should do, and then the things, please don't do this stuff. Okay. So we'll jump right into it, and we'll just, I'll talk about some, Alex will talk about some. Nikki, if you want to ask us some questions, jump in there as well. If you guys have questions, post it in the chat as well. This is just going to be an interactive conversation, because again, we're here to help each other get to the next level, right? This is the next wave of leaders in all of World Financial Group and this industry. So we got to partner. Okay. So some things that we did. Number one, you got to grow your identity. You grow your identity. You got to constantly affirm yourself, and you got to start acting as if, right? Anybody find themselves saying, oh, I'm just a $50,000 watch earner. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. You guys ever read The Secrets of, what does he say at the end of every chapter? I have a millionaire mind, right? You got to start speaking those things that are not as though they were. You have to affirm yourself. You have to affirm your teammates, affirm your family, your children, your spouse. Affirmations are so, so powerful. But in order for you to get to the next level, in order for you to get to that 7-figure earning, right, level, you got to grow, because your income grows at the rate that you do. So that'd be number one, your identity, what you feel you deserve. So what do you think you deserve? Some people are like, I think I deserve the world. Awesome. Let's get to work. Go make that happen. I deserve to be a millionaire. I deserve to be making multiple millions, right? Whatever that is for you. Let's go to work. Let's go make that happen. But speak that over yourself every single day, even when things are negative, even when things are challenging. Continue to speak the positivity over yourself.
You just have to remove all distractions. One of the distractions we had to remove for a while is we had to get real with our family. We had to talk to the kids. We had to talk to the people around us and let them know what our goals were and really what we wanted to accomplish in this next season. And we had to let it be known to others, like, hey, we might not be at every birthday party. We might not be here for this. We're going to try to, make the things that we can, but this is our priority. And we had to put certain things in priority in our life and allow other people and let them know what our priorities were, so that there wasn't a miscommunication. And we had to be willing. Some people didn't like it, guys. Not everybody is going to trust me. I had family members that weren't really okay with it. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. If they were okay with it, it mattered what we needed to do for us. And so you need to remove those things. Our kids didn't, weren't in sports during that time, or certain times, right? Maybe, now they're a little bit older. We had to kind of start doing things, but we consciously made the decision when we would put them into extracurricular activities, certain ones, based upon what our priorities were for our business, so we could get to that stage, where we want it to be. So you're going to have to make some of those tough decisions. And by the way, the one you need to make is not the comfortable one for you. Like I always tell people, I'm one of those people, I love to eat, I love food. I've never really been I can go without the snacks and soda. I've never really been a soda person. You know what I mean? But food, I love real food. It's a good cooked meal. I love that. Some people can't go without the candy. It's easy for me. And I always tell people, some people well, what do I need? What do I need to do? What is it for me that's holding me back? Well, I don't know what it is for you, but normally it's what you're putting in the place of something else. That's what it is for you. And it's not the same thing for every person. It's not always the same thing for every person. So just know there's going to be some sacrifices, and some of those distractions, by the way, are not bad things always. It's not oh, I need to stop, doing this, drinking too much and going party. That might not be you. That wasn't me, right? The distractions sometimes are good things, right? And you just have to go through and prioritize.
You have to have a healthy obsession. You got to get obsessed with this business, right? You got to think about it, eat, sleep, breathe it, right? You have to plan your future based on the things you're going to accomplish in WFG. It's a healthy obsession, right? It helps you focus. It helps your drive. It helps you to stay motivated, right? It's just that burning desire to achieve something. So you got to get obsessed with it. There are good obsessions, right? This is one of them that you have to have. When you're planning, you're strategizing. What am I going to do? How am I going to achieve these next, goals that I've set out for myself? And you got to get obsessed about that. You got to be looking at it every day. You got to be talking about it every day. You got to be casting the vision for your teammates every single day. Everybody's got to know that this is something that you're going to get done. It can't just be, on Tuesday night, I told Nikki I was going to be a millionaire. And then nobody hears about it ever again. So is that really something that you're going to do? Probably not, because it's why it's not here. It's not at the forefront of your mind, right? And what do we say? If you believe it, you can achieve it. But in order for you to believe it, you have to constantly be seeing it. It has to be constantly right here, right in front of you. That's why we talk about write it down, put it on your back of the mirror, put it on your car, save a note on your phone. So when you open your phone, you're seeing it every single day. Because guess what? Your mind is powerful and it's going to go to work on making sure you achieve that. So you got to have healthy obsession. Number 4, you got to be receptive to correction and coaching. Right? How many of us struggle with that sometimes? Correction and coaching. Because maybe you feel like people are coming down on you, right? And it may hurt your feelings. Here's what I want to say. Take yourself out of taking it personally and allow yourself to hear the love, the support that people have for you because they want you to be your best. When correction and coaching comes from people that really love and care about you, it's not a negative thing because they're going to be able to articulate that to you in love. You have to be open to receiving it in love as well. We got to have a lot of real conversations with our leadership about where we were, like some things that we had to adjust in our schedule, right? With priorities and things of that nature. And some stuff, you guys, it wasn't easy to hear. It wasn't. But if we really wanted to get to that level of being 7-figure earners, we had to listen. And this was coming from people that had already achieved that. So they knew what they were talking about. Sometimes we're not ready to hear those hard truths. But when you are, those are such game changers. But be receptive to correction and coaching, because guess what? It's only going to make you better and it's only going to help you get there even faster. Okay. You got to inspect what you expect.
Tracking is key, guys. Tracking is key. Whatever you, when you are tracking it and you're aware, that's the only time that you can make course corrections. A lot of times we're a little bit oblivious to what's really going on in our business because we're just not tracking the right things. And so, I would suggest, obviously, there's some main things you need to track, but, for your business and where you're at, get with your leadership and see what are like the 2 or 3 things I should be just laser focused on right now. I know one thing for Stephanie and I this year is adding another 150 licensed agents into our base shop, this year on top of the 100 we have now, and to get to a 2.5 million point base shop, to 3 million point base shop minimum by the end of the year. And all that's going to come from licensed agents. So there's a few things that we're tracking, like laser focused on those things in order to make sure we get those licensed agents. Now, for where you're at in business, it might be how many contacts per day am I actually, trying to get in order to have a few appointments. How many appointments am I setting up every week? And you need to start tracking them, not just on a monthly basis, but I would suggest tracking that stuff where every single day you're obviously tracking, but after every single week, you're kind of looking back at the week. So that way you can course correct. So you don't have a bad month, that you just maybe have a bad few days and we get back on track, because you're inspecting what you're expecting to get out of it. Does that make sense? This is probably one of the, we can have all the mindset stuff, but this is what, one of the things, and the tracking is what puts all that to good use. You can't just have all the inspiration and all the stuff and not actually know where you're at. So that way you can actually execute the plans that you're putting in place with your leaders.
Yep. And set a deadline. And when you set the deadline, don't change it. Sometimes we set a deadline and we're like, well, I really said March 31st, I'm going to try to get to March 31st. No. Just make it happen. If that's the deadline, set the deadline. If you know in your heart of heart, you're not going to hit it March 31st, well, then maybe we need to look at April. Right? Because you learn to win by winning. You do not learn to win by losing. And every time you set a goal and you don't achieve it, guess what? You're teaching yourself that it's okay to lose. And you're teaching yourself that it's okay not to keep the promises you make to yourself. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not okay. Is that helpful? Yeah. My business coach told us that. And it was just like, oh. But it's true, right? So set a deadline and keep the deadline. Be honest about that deadline. You also got to be transparent in your accountability. Don't be delusional. Don't be telling Nikki you went out and you got 10 prospects when you only got 1. Don't tell your leadership that you went out and you met with 10 clients when you only did one, you only met with one client. You see what I'm saying? Be transparent in your accountability. And here's the deal, accountability is for you. It's not for your leadership. It's for you so that you can track and see your pattern. That's the only way to give you sound advice based off of what you're actually doing. Accountability is so, so important, you guys. I can't even stress it enough. All right. But don't be delusional. Be accountable.
You got to stay focused on the goal, even when it looks like it's falling apart. I'll tell you, every time that we've had a big goal, when we were getting to our $1 million ring, or if it was just, to be honest, the $1 million was crazy, but it was just as stressful when we were trying to get our MD promotion at the beginning, because that's what I thought was the next thing, right? Can I get an amen on that, everybody? Like, I'm going for my $100,000 ring in SMD, you know, and so, you know, there's going to be some challenges along the way. Whenever you set a goal that's going to change something in your life for you and your family, you can't expect that everything's just going to go according to, like, I'm going to leave my house and every light's going to be green. There's going to be zero traffic. You know, I mean, I can't expect to drive to LA for an event and expect, like, I mean, there might be, there's going to be traffic somewhere, but I'm just expecting, I just know. It don't matter if it's a Sunday, a Saturday, 2 a.m, there's going to be some traffic. Right. And I just think when you go into it with the mindset of knowing there's going to be some challenges along the way, it makes it a lot easier to get through it. And then you got to stay focused on what the goal is, no matter what's happening around. Matter of fact, I'm not going to preach like Stephanie said, he didn't come here to preach, but you know,
Preach, babe.
Peter was walking on y'all know the story. But what really happened was when he lost focus is when he started to sink.
Yep.
When he lost focus. He was supposed to be staying focused on Jesus, but your goals, it's the same thing, being focused on it. When you start to like look to the left and right and all the stuff that's going on, it's easy to sink you because you're not focused on where you're actually going. And if you just stay focused on it, you'll keep walking.
Yep.
And that's all that Jesus said to him. Just picked him up and like, hey, like basically I have this in my own head, and maybe it's, you don't actually say it in there, but I kind of have my interpretation, what I believe happened. He was just like, but just look at me. Like, you ever had a coach? My daughter does this all the time. You know, man, Darren Carrington's on here. I'm sure his wife Vicky, she's a basketball coach. I see my own daughter, right? She comes off the court. The coach obviously has something to say to her that's going to help her out, and she's like looking around here, like, I don't know, hands up. And it's like, dude, have you ever had a coach be like, hey, right here, block all the noise right here. That's how you got to be with your goals.
Yep.
Right there.
Tunnel vision.
Yep. And you got to make yourself available. The best ability is availability. Just let me tell you guys something. Leadership is not a 9-to-5 role. It's 24/7, and it includes weekends. If you want to be a leader, you're going to have to make yourself available. Our teammates know they can call us at any hour of the day and night. I've had conversations with people at midnight. I've had contact with people at 4 a.m., 2 a.m., 6 p.m., whatever it takes. We are here to help you.
You got to earn that, though. I'm just being real. I just have a conversation with anybody at 2 a.m, just so you know. But I do let my team know that I will get back to you. They know I'm going to call them back. If I can't pick up, I don't pick up. Like, but you can call, right? But no, this is it's so key, though, guys. Think about, and there's a price to leadership. Does that make sense? And if all you guys are, especially on the BELC, we're looking to really be the light for a lot of our communities, right? And so you got to understand, you know, what if you were, think about the microcosm of it. What if in my home I like wasn't available and my kids just said, well, after 2 a.m. can't call dad. I want my kids to know, like, hey, you don't make this a practice, but you can call me. Imagine if my wife, I was like, you know, hey babe, you know, I'm only available Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 7, and you know, every other Saturday, you know, we might be able to get, you know, a couple hours, you know, of time. and pick whatever Wednesday of the month you want to watch a Netflix for an hour. Like, that doesn't work. So if it's not going to work in your own home, if it's not going to work
No, it
if
is
you're a
not.
coach of a full team, if it's not going to work with your own friendships, then what makes you think as a leader, right? They have to earn your time. Yes, I'm not saying just be available for nonsense, but you have to understand that if you want to lead and you want to do it well, you're going to have to be available for your team.
Yep.
Next one, babe. This goes without saying.
You got to run through the finish line. Have the next goal lined up to avoid getting stagnant, period. We don't need to elaborate on that. Finish strong and have fun. Create challenges, milestone celebrations, incentives. Just make it fun. It cannot be this boring, mundane, stressful thing. You have to keep it light. You have to make it fun. You have to make everybody feel like they're contributing to this big goal, because it really does go a long way. All right. Now, we're gonna quickly go through these ones because our time is drawing near. But is this good stuff? Are you guys getting something?
Perfect stuff.
You know?
Awesome.
Our goal is, again, we know you guys come to the Black Excellence, the breakouts, and there's only so much time there as well. But we want you guys to get value. We want to give you guys some practical things that you can implement in your businesses, because we want you to win. So what we talked about, the things to do. Now we're going to talk about the top 5 things not to do. Okay. All right, here we go. Go fight, win. We already talked about this. Don't move the deadline. Do not let yourself off the hook. Okay. You can't say I'm shooting for it this month, but for sure by next month. Anybody ever been guilty of that line? Oh yeah, I'm shooting for it this month, but for sure by next month. Excuse me? Are you doing it this month or are we doing it next month? Nikki's probably laughing because we're like very like structured people. We gotta, what are the actual details? Right? Listen, y'all listen. What are we actually doing?
Right.
All the hypotheticals, it doesn't work for us. You're gonna lose us every time. Okay, so are we doing this in March or are we just gonna address this in April? Like, what's the plan here? Don't move the deadline and stop letting yourself off the hook. Just go make it happen. Again, do you know that when you set a deadline and you actually go and achieve a goal, that's another way for you to raise your identity, by the way? That's another form of you keeping the promises you made to yourself. You should try it with the big things and little things. Try it. You'll like it.
So key.
You have to continue growing during the times. I'll tell you this, it sounds like very easy to do, but I'll tell you this, when you're on a run and you get on a lot of appointments and your business starts to explode in a way, and you have a lot of recruits to deal with and a lot of appointments to do for them and a lot of business strategy sessions to do with the new agents that are, just got their associate promotion. You got all this going on. One of the things that I've even noticed, and this is speaking from experience, is that one of the things that starts to go first is you stop having as much time for your personal development. And it's just something to make sure that you're aware of. You need to continue feeding and pouring into yourself, because a lot of times as the leader, sometimes you're not getting as much because you're pouring so much out. And so you need to make sure you're getting filled up.
Yep.
So keep personally developing.
Let me ask you something about that, Alex. Because I noticed you guys on Instagram have been really working out together. I love how you guys work out together too. So I don't know that Kermit and I could do that. So when you guys are talking about personally development, like that also includes like your health and your fitness. It includes balancing marriage, and you're super busy with the 3 kids. Like, give us some nuggets on how you guys manage to, and balance is kind of like maybe not the word, but how are you managing to keep it all going, all the balls in the air?
Well, one of the things I think is, you get to a point. I mean, just like anything else in life, I hope that through experiences we become a little more wise. You just become a little bit more aware of some of the important things. And so, you go through stages where I'm like, doing so many appointments, you're back in the office, you're not eating right and whatever, you just don't feel good. And, so little things where you just have to prioritize. And I think that's where, when we talk about balance, there's no such real thing as a balance, like it's 50-50 or 25-25. It's really, you need to pour in and invest in the areas that are maybe lacking in that season. And there's different seasons, right? And so, you know, we just need to make it a conscious effort to try and be healthier as far as for our kids long term, or, you know, come into reality of, you know, where we're at in life. And like, I want to be alive for a long time, so I need to get this in order again, you know, now. And so, but how you do that is very key. So like something so little, Stephanie and I used to go twice a week, you know, on our own each to, you know, for a trainer, and it's just accountability. It's not like necessarily we always need it, but it's like, it's good, right? And it helps us a lot. But we talk to him. He's like a family member now because we make friends with everybody, right? So he's very, you know, close to us. He trains our sons in football. And so basically, instead of having different times, we just have like 1 hour every day, 4 days a week. And we do more of like workouts that we both can do, like, you know, that incorporate some of the cardio type stuff with the weights. And we just do different things. And he was able to come up with something. So that way we were able to fit it in our schedule because we were together. And so we would take 1 hour every day, 4 days a week now instead of two separate. And so it's the same amount, but now we're able to get it in together and it's a priority, right? And, you know, so little things like that. And then prioritizing, you know, and scheduling is key. How do we, you know, keep that as, you know, before my daughter started driving, you know, recently, that has taken a lot off our plate, you know, but at the same time, it's like scheduling at the beginning of the week together and looking at like, hey, are you going to take this kid over here and I'll take this one over there? And we have an appointment. Do we both need to be on that one? Okay, it's licensing. So Stephanie, you have licensing during this time. I'll take the kids, but then in the evening, you're going to have to go pick them up because I'm going to be doing some field trainings, you know, or whatever the case may be. And so a lot of that comes down to being intentional with your schedule. And I'll give you guys a free piece of advice that like absolutely no one hardly does. And you're going to think it's like this, you know, oh yeah, whatever, you'll blow it off. And I will tell you this, like, most people will never do this, and proactive thought leads to progress. And you have no idea, like every cell in your body, like you feel different when you're being proactive in your thinking. And it's the only way to elevate you past your natural human instinct, which is to kind of stay where you're at. And so if you could plan your day, just time scheduled events on paper, not in your phone, plan your day. Like plan tomorrow before tomorrow begins. So plan for tomorrow tonight. And the first thing that goes in your calendar is when you're going to plan for the next day. So for tomorrow's plan on Monday in my calendar, when am I going to be planning for Tuesday?
You're pre-planning.
Most people will never do that, and they'll never do it on paper. And they'll do it maybe 20% of the time, 2, 3, 4 days a week. You'll forget a day. If you can build that habit and do that like 80% of the time, I guarantee you, all of you guys come back, post in the chats a month from now, what is different about your life if you do that? I guarantee you. It was the thing that took Stephanie and I, and I'm not going to get all into it right now, but we started working with this business coach, took us from 300,000. We doubled our income every year for 3 years, basically. 3 to 6 to 3 to 6 to 9 to 1.2. So in about 3.5 years, went from 300,000 to 1.2 million. And one of the biggest things was just that. I'm dead serious. So a lot of people might blow it off and you can stay where you're at, or you can pre-plan your day and watch. I don't know exactly you'll make 1.2, but I do know this, you'll be way farther along than you are now.
Awesome.
Yep. 100%. We just have really good play calling in our house. I'm like, what's the play, coach? And we run it. And everybody's just on the same page. We accept what that page is, and we just figure it out.
And you have fun too. Alex, talk about your day today. Talk about what you did today. Because most people are not even organized enough to get up and go where you went today. To have fun. You guys have a lot of fun as a family, which is amazing.
Well, I also feel like the reason why, and you guys got to understand this, like I'm all for the working hard. We have to. Like you don't get where you want to be without the work. But at the end of the day, we're also in the influencing business, right? Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Have you ever read a John Maxwell book? And my thing is, who wants to do something with you, right? We're bringing people along, a volunteer army. If you look like it sucks every day, like if you look like your life is just like, man, I got to do appointments. I got to do, like, if you look like you're not having fun doing anything, then why would someone want to join this? You got to be thinking about that. So I built this business to have fun. So like, and do things with my kids. Yesterday, my son's birthday is on Tuesday, and you know, we didn't have a tournament for the first time in 2 months. We're out of San Diego every weekend for a tournament for one of the boys or somebody, and you know, they didn't have it. So we went to yesterday to go ride go-karts and go to like a trampoline park with his friends. That was after a training session with his football team in the morning. And then from there, we all went to dinner. And then we get home like at 11 o'clock at night. They're tired as heck, but I put them down. And then this morning we got up at 4:30 in the morning and we drove 2.5 hours and went snowboarding. And my wife didn't think I'd make it back. You know, she's always like, she wants me ready like 2 hours before the event. You know, even I'm not going to talk about it, but even though, like I'm waiting on her for the event usually, but we'll leave that one there. So
I'm
like,
looking ahead, babe. I'm looking ahead.
she's like, you're gonna be late. And I'm like, I walked in. So we went snowboarding. I left, we got up there at 8 o'clock in the morning, snowboarded till like 12:30, drove back down the mountain, was with one of my son's friends and his dad, and drove back down, get to the house, and was able to shower everything. And I was still ready a half hour before the call. And I even came to my wife and I was like, are you surprised? Are you happy? Like, you good? You didn't think I was gonna be home. You thought you was gonna do the interview by yourself. And I was just having fun with it. But at the end of the day, I got to, go with my two sons snowboarding, which I never I didn't get to snowboard when I was a kid, like once I think in my life. And I get to do all the fun stuff I want to do and then still build the business because they're a part of it and they know when we need to. Like my kids are here watching us, keeping the dogs quiet while we're, my daughter's now driving. They went shopping for something for their the Black Student Union at school for my son and daughter, and they went and did something while we were on the call, and so it all works together if everyone just knows what the plan is, and you can have a lot of fun, do all the stuff you want to do, and build a business. And like I said, you can have it all, but you just got to schedule it in.
Yep. And that just goes to our last couple of points, guys. Don't project the frustration of a run onto your team. Just always make sure you're always positive. That's simple as that. And be careful who you listen to, right? Your leadership really does want the best for you. So you got to listen and you got to be coachable. And here's the deal. Just because they're in WFG does not mean that they're giving you sound advice necessarily, right? It's very rare, but just be mindful. Listen to your leaders. They have your best interests at heart. Okay. Sometimes we tend to gravitate towards people that are doing, about the same as us. Well, you got to elevate that. You got to get around people that make you uncomfortable sometimes, right? You do. You really do. Hey, I did Dover Cruise last month too. Oh, me too. Awesome. Let's be running mates. No. Go talk to the person that got 5 directs last month. Ask them, hey, what did you do? So I can up my game. You see what I'm saying? Iron sharpens iron. So you got to make sure that the people that you are around that are in your circle are helping you grow and get to the next level, right? Growing and get to the next level. That's what it's about. And lastly, don't count your eggs before they hatch. It doesn't count until it hits the computer. Stop telling Nikki, oh yeah, we got $1 million rollover, right? Everything's in. We're just waiting for the cycle to update. And then month end comes, the last cycle, and you said, I just don't know what happened. They said that they paid it out. Well, did you confirm it with their commissions department? Did you confirm it with WFG commission? And then it's like, oh yeah, we were waiting on the transfer form to be filled out. So how was it going to hit? I'm telling you guys, we've never been through any of this. We're not traumatized whatsoever. Some of you leaders are like, oh my gosh, yes, say it again. It doesn't count until it's on the computer. Nicole, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, we love you. We really do. But please stop getting our hopes up when stuff is still sitting in underwriting. No approval means it's not going to count. It's in the pipeline, praise the Lord, but we cannot count that towards the run, okay? Because it's not going to pay out. So just be mindful. That's why you got to overshoot all of your goals. Right? And this is something else. This is just some income, guys. We really do make this. Okay. Look at that. Wow. To go from be a negative in a bank account a couple years ago to now making well over 7 figures in income. And why do we show you this? Not to brag, not to boast, not at all. It's to show you what is really possible. And the only way that's going to be possible is this is a saying in our team. and I got it from my good friend, Pastor Adrian Ewings.
Hmm.
And let me tell you guys where this thing comes from. Stay with the group. Don't be doing your own thing, because success leaves clues and so does failure. You guys ever been on a field trip and it's that token bathroom break? And the leader says, everybody meet back here in the specific designated area in 10 minutes. There's always that one person that cannot follow those simple instructions. Here's the deal. We don't have time to keep rerouting you because you can't stick to the plan. You can't stay with the group. You're off doing your own thing, right? Because if you're gonna go do your own thing, well, guess what? You're gonna have to deal with the results that come with that. Stay with the group. Stay connected to the energy source. Stay plugged in, right? Some of you guys were asking about some good books, you know, that you can read. You know, one of my favorite books is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. You can never ever get that book, never gets old, right? I started reading another book by Sarah Jacobs Roberts. You know, she's one of my favorite in terms of just a powerhouse lady, right? And it's called Don't Settle for Safe. Right? A lot of us are get stuck in our identity because we're constantly settling for things that are beneath us. We're constantly settling based off of what somebody else said you would be, instead of you looking inside of you and really starting to understand who God has called you to be. Amen. You seeing the champion that's within you, the leader within you, right? The overcomer within you, right? The person that is victorious. Stop listening to the negativity that somebody else has projected onto you based off of their experience. That doesn't have to be your life, doesn't have to be your experience. And when you start to really believe that and you start to affirm yourself, that's when your identity grows. And man, do you walk differently. Man, do you walk with your head held high. Man, do you find yourself reaching back, wanting to bring others with you because of the internal transformation that's happening. And then all of us get to see, right, that external change, but it starts internally, you guys. It's an inside out thing. It happens inside and then we see it. Right. So don't take this stuff for granted. Don't take this stuff for granted. These are just simple principles that we live by. These are things that we do every single day. We're not perfect, but let me tell you something. We definitely are very, very clear on where we are going. We know that we have planted our flag here in World Financial Group. We are committed and dedicated to our mission of no family left behind. We are going to be helping all kinds of folks change their lives forever. We're going to help raise up the next generations of millionaires. We're going to help send kids to college, right? We're going to help those that are less fortunate. We're going to help build schools. We are going to have such impact in this world that our generations are going to be talking about the things that we all did together. So we appreciate this time with you guys. If you have some more questions for us, Nikki, go ahead. But man, what a fun time this has been. I appreciate all you guys participating in the chat with your feedback. This is such a great group. Like, you guys are just,
it was a great group. It was a great group, and you guys were awesome. And I think, Ed Milet always said, people only quit because they're too focused on where they're at and they're not focused enough on where they're going. And so you said that so well. And I appreciate you and Alex sharing your story, sharing what's working for you, sharing some of your adversities. I just think that collectively we can all benefit from each other in so many different ways. And that's really the foundation of the Black Excellence Council. So stay tuned, you guys. We're going to have some more, interviews coming up. We have our convention breakout meeting, don't forget, in Vegas, July 15th. Follow us on Instagram at The Real BELC LC, and I will see you guys on the next meeting coming up. Thank you guys so much, Stephanie and Alex. That was awesome. That was awesome. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yes, we'll be in Hawaii.
See you guys.
Everybody needs to qualify for Hawaii. It's not hard.
Everybody. So much fun.
Gotta go. We gotta do the work, y'all. But we love you guys. God bless you, Black Excellence. Thank you for your love, your support, and whatever we can do to help you, please, please, please reach out to us. We are just a phone call away. You guys have a blessed evening, and hey, let's make this week a great one. Sound good?
Bye, everybody.
Boom.
Thank you.